Hey everyone, welcome to another Angry Artist podcast. This particular audio is titled Losing to Learn or Learning to Lose. Now you might say, wait, losing tends to be a bad thing. Why is it necessary? I understand people want to win in life, and it doesn't have to be art related, it's just everything. You don't go into a sports game thinking that your team is going to lose. However, what a lot of people don't realize is losing is an integral part of improving yourself in anything. We don't see what the athletes have to go through in their training. In a way, their training is to force them into really bad situations, which is part of losing. Now, if you practice well enough, you are conditioned to know what to do when you're behind. And that's, again, very important. You don't always go into a game where you're just winning everything and everything just goes smoothly and that's easy. Life is a lot more than that, and art is part of it. I've learned this from playing a lot of card games, so even Magic the Gathering or something digital like Hearthstone. When you think about it, card games are very random. A lot of it comes down to luck. If you pick up the right cards, you'll be fine. If you pick up the wrong cards, then no matter how well you play or how well you've built your deck, you'll probably lose. Now, you might say, what does that have to do with anything? And there is a lot to do with art. The idea that even the best decks in any card game would probably just have a little bit above 50% win rate. The lesson is no matter how good you are in life, sometimes you'll just lose. Things just don't go your way. But the important thing is your attitude. Your attitude to improve from that, to maximize your chances. So in the case of a card game, you want to put the right cards in your deck and you want to play as optimally as possible, adapting to what you draw from your deck. And yes, given that I've played thousands of games, that means I also lost thousands of games. But the important part is not to take it all out on yourself and to really experiment and see what you can do above that. A lot of people play it very safe when it comes to art. They figure out something that works for them and then they keep using the same thing over and over again. Now, it's a little bit harder to understand because in the card game, if you use the same tactics over and over again, you either win or you lose. Now, in art, it's harder to see. A lot of cases, people kind of stagnate. They don't really push their boundaries because they figured, hey, this is working. I guess I'll keep drawing the same thing over and over again. However, you run into a risk of making the same mistakes over and over again. Too many times I notice a lot of artists copying formulas. So they might say, hey, I love anime, I'm just going to copy this tutorial on how to draw anime. But that's one formula. When you do that, it's sort of like using the same tactics and strategy over and over again. Eventually, people will find ways to exploit it. Now, not to say that people can exploit you doing art, because it's a different type of thing, but when you just do the same formula over and over again, what happens when you have to draw something outside of the formula? This is very important because when you're in a professional environment, you'll be told to draw whatever the director wants you to draw. And while you might be hired for certain things, like if you were hired as an environment artist, they wouldn't get you to do characters most of the time. You want to be prepared for any case and have tactics to deal with every problem. Again, if you know the fundamentals, as I've said many times before, The ability to draw anything is a huge asset to becoming professional. You want to have a ton of tactics in your bag of tricks. You don't want to be a one-dimensional formula copying person. And I've said before, even if you do all the right things and you have the greatest of skill, sometimes things just don't work out properly. But that's part of learning. Losing is integral. You don't want to put yourself in the position where you're winning with the same formula over and over again. How can you learn if you don't make mistakes? A lot of cases, a lot of people are so adverse to trying to make mistakes that they go with the safe options every single time. But I guarantee you, every great writer, every great artist, every great everything would have went through a lot of experimentation. So feel free to just try your best at a different tactic, a different approach to how you do your art. Trust me when I say this, you will learn a lot more making a bad painting than to make a good painting using the same things you've done before. So what are some examples of this? One example would be people who draw the same pose over and over again. The same face. I like to call it the same face syndrome because really, there's some artists, I don't want to name names, that they only know how to draw one type of face, the same proportions every single time. You know what I mean. Remember, nature has a lot of variety. To undermine the importance of variety is going to limit your vision. You will have a lot more visions as you get more experience. You want to be able to tackle those when you really need to, especially in client work. Always believe, no matter what, it becomes a winning situation. Even if, again, your artwork doesn't come out right. There's always next time. Don't hit yourself too hard, but also hit yourself hard enough so that when you do look back at your work, you can see, hey, I made these mistakes. I need to fix them for next time. And it'll only improve your own work. A lot of people really don't take the dive at times, and that's really not going to help. I guarantee you, for example, the best cartoonists and anime artists, I always go back to that, they would have a great understanding of reality. And that could also mean they would have experimented how they can transfer reality into their cartoon or anime style. It might have taken many, many tries, thousands of paintings to get right. But once they got it, they can be like, darn, I really went through that journey, and the reward becomes so much more gratifying. Make mistakes. Don't settle for the cheap answers. That's so important to improving yourself. Sometimes you might need an instructor to tell you to try something new, and that's completely fine. As long as you're doing it in some capacity, you'll be fine. Nobody is going to look back at the paintings that you don't show. If something doesn't look right, you don't have to show it to your friends and family. You don't have to show it to social media. Now, of course, I don't advocate just hiding everything and not getting feedback whenever possible. But sometimes you know things aren't coming out right. But that's okay. You want those moments where you're vulnerable. You want those moments where you're losing. And when you lose, you will know what to do next time. Michael Jordan has lost games. Celebrities have probably been rejected from their auditions. Remember that we only remember their successes. Nobody really goes back and be like, well, you failed there, I completely remember it from 10 years ago. They'll look back and see all the great artwork that you've made. So don't be afraid to really take a plunge and really take risks. If it doesn't work, again, don't worry about it. Learn from it, losing is part of the game. Anyways, thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.